What's going on, guys? Welcome back to day 2 of IEM Gyeonggi. I am Achilles. Joining me on the desk now is David Freak Turley. Freak, how are you? Second day on the desk here. How's the jet lag treating you?
Actually pretty well. I flew in the day before the event, so I had like 24 hours of just chilling in Seoul to acclimate. I did all right. How about you?
Oh, I'm so jet lagged.
Yeah, I know.
I've just been here for months, and it's just
still on American time.
It's awful. No, I mean, I just have a terrible sleep schedule in general. But anyway, enough about our sleep schedules. Let's go ahead and start talking about this next matchup that we have, because it's a particularly exciting one.
It is.
Not just because I used to work for this organization, but because it's Team Liquid's first international showing for their League of Legends team.
Yep.
They've been around since the start of it all. Have never played an international competition, but today that changes, and it's also the return of Piglet to Korea since he left SK Telecom.
That's true, actually. Piglet's back playing in Korea, of course, also returning with Liquid. He's still there. A couple roster swaps for both these teams that I think are very interesting. On Liquid's side, this is actually their real lineup. If you kind of remember the sort of peak Liquid, it was with Dardoch and Piglet and Co., and of course that broke apart. So Rainover is in for Dardoch if you haven't been keeping up with the postseason moves. Rainover is in. Should be great. Liquid's had this roster together for a little while now, so you feel like they should be pretty well practiced. And then Golden Glue is in for Phoenix, and that's going to be one that might be tough. Golden Glue has played some in the LCS. He's come in and out as a starter, been benched again, went back to Challenger on Liquid Academy, came back to LCS, now in Liquid. And Phoenix was a good performer for Liquid. So on paper, it's a downgrade, but this is Golden Glue's time to try, like, for this fourth time, basically, like, I am an LCS caliber mid laner, I'm a pro caliber mid laner, and he's up against one of the best in Night.
It's his fourth time?
Roughly.
It's his, okay.
Like,
the stars have aligned then. This is the perfect team for him. It's great.
Exactly.
All right, everything's coming together nicely. Team Liquid, they're going to win Worlds. You heard it here first. No, but this is, like, I have to agree with you. I mean, Golden Glue, he is a bit of an unproven case. A lot of naysayers, when it comes to him, and with the announcement of the roster, and this is really his opportunity. The entire teams in general, but mostly I would say Golden Glue's opportunity to kind of shut people up. So you know what, I can be a top contender. Not just in North America, but in international competition as well.
Right. It feels like everyone else is a known quantity. Where like if they don't play very well, it's like, well, that was kind of what maybe they expected from someone like Lorlo or Matt, who are still a bit newer. Okay, they're no longer rookies by any stretch of the imagination. Piglet, you expect he's going to smash no matter what. Rainover, people expect him to smash no matter what. If they don't, that's concerning, granted, but we know these players are all very good. And honestly, in the case of Lorlo and Matt, they were starting to do pretty well for themselves. So Liquid, for the most part, I think are in a pretty good spot. On the other side is Giants. Giants in the European LCS. They don't have a completely finalized roster right now. They are trialing Mighty Bear. He's on loan from Vitality, so there's no guarantee he's going to start with the team for realsies. But the rest of that lineup is sort of set in stone here. Upset, a new German AD carry in for them, and Flaxish in the top lane replacing Smitty J. These are at least in the case of Flaxish, is a player that people kind of know about a fair bit. He's been around the European scene for a while, and okay, sure, it's about 3 in the morning for Western Europe right now, so they're not watching him live. So for all the American viewers out there,
there's those dedicated people that are out there.
The hardcore Giants fans staying up to watch them play. Thank you very much for tuning in. And yeah, Flaxish is a good player. He's kind of been around the scene a little bit, and gets to be a nice breakout performance for him if he can do well here. Yeah.
But I'm excited to see how this is going to go for both sides, because it is, like you mentioned, like you have Giants not with the finalized roster, but then also TL, a roster that hasn't gotten a lot of time to practice.
Yeah.
Similar with Immortals that we saw yesterday, about a day and a half, because I believe I had dinner with them like before Rainover had left for All-Stars, and then he was gone, and then he came back on Tuesday. And now here we are on Thursday. So there hasn't been a lot of time for either of these teams to really build that synergy. But it's just going to come down to raw talent, and then just see if things can click for these guys, basically.
Right. Certainly, I agree that both these teams are in situations where players have just come in very recently. I mean, in the case of Giants with Upset and Flaxish, like they joined December 6th and 8th. Right? That's when they have. Now, to be fair, they would have had to practice before then. That's when the announcement came through. So there were days, or probably weeks, to be honest, of them playing with the team, at least to some degree, to figure out, do we like this guy?
Sure.
Yes, let's sign him. So like that announcement date is never completely honest. And when you've got teams like Immortals who said, oh, we've only played together for 2 days, like, yeah, but like you've been playing this whole time. Like you guys have been in Korea for a while and whatnot. So
Well, I know the case with Ole was actually maybe 3 days, 4 days.
And some of
that was
true.
very tight
timeline. And completely, right? And some of that is very true, where like some of the players are very recent additions, but you very often in situations where 3/5 or 4/5 of the team has played together for, in some cases, months on the long end. That's an extreme example, but parts of the team are often very well oiled, and they have to kind of work around the rougher edges.
Yeah. Well, whether or not they are going to be able to shine is we're going to find out just pretty soon. We're getting ready to get the players into the lobby, and then we'll get this one underway. But how do you expect this spot lane to go? Piglet and Matt versus Upset and Hustlin coming into this one, because Piglet and Matt, they're kind of renowned as being one of the better bot lanes. Despite Team Liquid's shortcomings in the NALCS being one of the better bot lane duos in NALCS, going up against Upset and Hustlin, do you think that they're just going to have innately the upper hand, or do you think that they're going to have some contention there?
So, from what we've seen so far, actually, at least in this tournament, is that for whatever reason, bot lane especially tends to be closer. Tends to be a pretty close lane for some reason that everyone seems to understand the mechanics well enough that you're not seeing gigantic leads in the straight 2-on-2. Now, there might be misplays, and they misplay on the ultimates, and they misplay around ganks, and that happens later on. But in heads-up laning, we haven't seen that much differentiation, even across really, really excellent AD carries. That said, I think you have to give the advantage to any lane with Piglet in it. Piglet is an obnoxiously good player. He's extremely competent at what he does, and he's been playing with Matt for more than a year now. Okay, yes, there was some time off with the whole TLA thing and whatnot, but generally speaking, Piglet and Matt have played a lot together. Their synergy's on point. We know Piglet's amazing. Matt does his best to keep up. He said as much himself, where it's like, it's so intimidating. I have to try to play to Piglet's level, and I basically can't because he's world class. And Matt continues to try to learn a bit better, and he gets better over time. But yeah, any lane with Piglet is going to be amazing. I actually don't know very much about Upset, so I couldn't really tell you his level of competence. Hustlin seemed to be okay in the European LCS. I trust that they picked him up in the first place, and of course replacing Sonstar here, he's got some shoes to fill in himself. I mean, Giants, as a team, really, though, it's not as much about the bot lane for them. This team essentially was rebuilt around Knight, who was an amazing mid laner for them in the past split. Knight was absolutely great, and he's now got some better support for himself. Mighty Bear, though he didn't play that well on Vitality, was still like a really hyped-up player, was great in Korean solo queue. Maybe he just needed the right teammates to make it work. That's unlikely, but hey, maybe this time it works out for him, and Mighty Bear plays up to Knight's level, and that works well. So I think Giants can come out as one of those obscene teams, kind of like old Fnatic when Reignover and Huni came over and nobody knew who they were. There's some element of this could just click,
just make
and
a dark
Giants
horse run.
Be great.
Okay. I mean, well, you mentioned having this team built around Knight. Is that a cause for concern then, since Golden Glue is kind of the biggest question mark on TL?
As far as a concern from Liquid side, yes, I think. It is a tough test right now for Golden Glue. If you can play to Knight's level, that's great. Knight's good, certifiably a great LCS level mid laner. He's not Faker, that's fine. You don't have to be Faker to play in the LCS, but yes, I think it is a risk and a concern from Liquid side. Probably a point of strength, and it has been for most of the year for Giants to have a strong mid laner here. And so you have, at least on paper, a battle where you expect Knight to do well in the mid lane, and you expect Piglet to do well in the bot lane, and those are going to kind of clash, and you hope that nobody feeds too hard that you can't kind of carry from the other side.
So then where should Reignover really direct his focus? Should he be focusing on helping Golden Glue get ahead in the mid lane and try to even up that matchup, or have him have the advantage, or should he be focusing around the bottom lane and enabling Piglet to get so far ahead that he can just kind of hard carry from the bottom?
Right, I think it is bottom lane. In general, my view of jungling, and I suppose other people can have different opinions on this, is that a jungler, more often than not, should be trying to enhance strengths as opposed to salvaging shipwrecks.
Okay.
That's
a good way to put it. That's
right,
good.
and I mean, if you kind of game theory in your head, this makes sense, where, okay, if the jungler matches, because you can't have perfect vision, you never know what's going to be happening there if someone's lane ganking or whatnot, if the jungler matches, right, and I show up to my winning 2-on-2, and now it's a 3-on-3, well, now it's just a winning 3-on-3. The Olaf that walks in from the turret, you still can't fight me. I knocked up somebody and Jin hit the W, and now this guy's dead anyway. Whereas if you're and we actually saw it in the previous game where there were several times where Ku was trying to salvage his mid laner, and he's waiting in the wings ready to go, and then just, sorry, you got one shot by Cinder. It's oh, you wasted your time trying to salvage losing lane. You pathed down, maybe even walked through a ward. Okay, now back to the jungle you go.
Yeah, that was a bit of a rough first game to start the day off, so we might have a considerably closer matchup on our hands here with TL versus Giants, but looks like the guys are pretty much ready to go, so let's get into the booths and meet our teams. The newly announced roster, the final roster that will be playing in the NALCS Season 7 split in spring is Lorlo in the top lane, Reignover in the jungle coming over from Immortals, who we saw yesterday, Golden Glue in mid, Piglet and Matt back in bottom.
I think this is going to be very strong. Piglet, again, a world-class player. We know Reignover is as well, and if you haven't watched a lot of North American LCS, Lorlo started playing really well by the end of the split. He's certifiably LCS caliber top laner. I really think good things can happen from him. And it's interesting because we started seeing carry tops become more common. Even at this tournament, we've seen a bunch of Kennen now, but Lola was a very good Aurelia. He's very actually comfortable on the carry tops. That was his style initially when he started playing competitive. He was normally a big like Riven and Fiora sort of main champion.
Yeah.
And once he stopped having to play Nautilus and Maokai every game, he got a lot better, and he was very good at playing more fighter types, and depending on what they want to play here, he could do very well.
Yeah, I was initially unsure of Lorlo when he was put onto the main roster because at the time TLA was doing so well, and they had Zig, who now on Phoenix One, who has done fairly well in his career so far in the NELCS, albeit a very short one. So I wasn't sure about Lorlo, but by the end of the summer split, as you said, been doing excellently. But on the other side of the rift, on the red side, it's going to be Giants Gaming with Flashix in the top lane, Mighty Bear in the jungle, Knight in mid lane, Upset and Hustlin rounding out that team. And as you said, we're going to have to keep our eyes on Knight in mid. Seems like he is going to be the cornerstone for this team.
Knight's the big star player here. Knight and Hustlin, the two returning members from the Summer Split Giants roster. Mighty Bear is on loan. He's on tryout. We know that Vitality was playing with Shook anyway, but technically Mighty Bear still does belong to Vitality, so Giants trying to figure out if they want him for this after all. And hey, if it works out, then maybe it's gonna be nice for these guys. But you're hoping that these players can sort of find their footing a little bit better and have a better run they did in summer. It wasn't a bad run, especially considering that the first time we saw Giants in the LCS way back in the day, they got relegated way back when in 2013, and then came back, and they've gotten progressively better ever since, with now only one Spaniard on the roster, but again, improving every year, it seems.
Yeah, and I mean, that's always good to see those teams that, they stick around through Challenger, they earn their way back in. Kongdu Monster from Game 1.
Right.
A perfect example of that. Got relegated out of the LCS in spring when ESC Ever and MVP won their way into the LCK. They stuck together. I really thought that the team was going to completely collapse, but they stuck together. Same roster pretty much all the way through, except they replaced their jungler. Punch came in, and he's been a fantastic addition to that team. And then they ended up winning their way back into the LCK during the summer promotion. Knocked out, CJ Entis, and Spenu didn't qualify, and then ESC Ever retained their spot. So it's you take the good and the bad. CJ's gone, feels bad, man. But hey, Kongdu's back, and they're looking stronger than ever.
Yeah, and Kongdu, I think, have done really well for themselves. The most famous result recently is, of course, that second place in the Kespa Cup, which they lost to Rockstar at the end of it all. And it's always weird looking at results from tournaments like that. I don't know why we're still talking about Kongdu Monster. You just talked about them, and I got excited because they're really exciting as a team.
We'll be seeing them later today as well, so it's still relevant.
We'll see them in the next match. The winner's match is the one after this, so whoever wins here is going to play Kongdu Monster, a team that is super sharp. So they look like the favorites of the tournament for me, and the question now is, it's almost like who's going to get second place in the group. That's my early prediction.
Favorites of the tournament or favorites of the group?
I actually think favorites of the tournament. I think they'll beat Samsung.
Bold statement.
Who clearly are favorites from Group A because they already topped that group there. So I think Kongdu are the kings of this tournament right now. We'll see if that remains true. And the question, I think I'm going to do like my pseudo-analyst section right now where we're kind of prepping for the game.
By all means.
This is the battle for second place. Now, granted, it's double elimination. You're not like doing the MLG extended series thing where like the first game actually means anything. But Dark Passage did not look very good. I think my expectation is whichever team loses here probably does beat Dark Passage in the loser's match, and then takes the rematch against whichever team wins here. Unless they can actually play up to the level of Kongdu Monster, which I feel like is unlikely. So to me, this is a preview of the decider match. That is my expectations of what this game is going to be. Now, what's interesting is I jumped down the rabbit hole is I wonder if the teams think that as well. Mm-hmm. If the teams are like, no chance we can take down Kongdu, they're too good for us, let's just play for second place. That's not a great mentality, but there's a world where that's the right thought process. And you say, let's hide strats, let's wait till decider, and let's actually take them in that best of three.
I mean, you could do that. I mean, if you take that second place, you have to play against Samsung. At the end of the day, so
it's still hard.
It's a little bit of a catch-22. So it's either like, oh yeah, we can take first place, we beat Kongdu, and you go out, but maybe you show a lot of stuff, and then Immortals gets to practice against you.
Yeah.
Or you take the second place, you hide some stats, and then you have to
beat Samsung.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a rough spot to be in.
You're right.
For either of these teams right here. If they want to, make it into that second place or the first place spot. So it's going to be a rough road ahead.
It is.
No matter what.
It is. I mean, we're to know whoever wins here is pretty much going to have to face a Korean team very quickly. It's either you beat Kongdu Monster and then you get to take Immortals instead, or you lose to Kongdu Monster. Even if you win, you have to play Samsung for a top two. So it will be rough, but either way, it's two Western teams putting the rosters back together, sort of two new guys on one side, three new guys on the other, and then you're going to hope that they can put on a good show here, and I think it's going to be a close match.
Yep. I gotta say, how hypey would it be if a NA team came to Korea, Immortals and Liquid, their first international showings, and they were able to take down the Korean teams and take number 1 at IEM Gyeonggi? It would be pretty exciting. But let's go ahead and get into the pick and ban. Team Liquid going to take off Ivern off the board right off the bat.
And as much as the casters were hoping to see Ivern in their at the All-Star event, we didn't get to see very much of him. I think only one game. Everyone does seem to know here in professional play and in a more conventional tournament that, yes, Ivern is a very strong jungler, that what he brings to the table is worth bringing out. And I would agree, 623 is especially a strong Ivern patch. Nice to see a Kennen ban out as well. We weren't really seeing any thoughts to him until sort of later on in day one, but actually a very strong champion. And the real interesting thing is, I want to know how many other carry top laners these teams have prepared. Because like the first 5 games was like Poppy Maokai, Poppy Maokai, Poppy Maokai. Then we saw a little bit of Poppy Nautilus. Then we saw a little bit of Kennen now. And I want to see how much sort of wider that champion will get stretched.
I think it's safe to assume that Jace is somewhere in there for both of these guys. But you know, does it go beyond that pull? You know, is there something else in their pocket that they could pull out? That's yet to be seen, really. But continuing, of course, Syndra and LeBlanc have to be taken off the board here. They're just too powerful.
Unless you know the counterpick. We had seen Echo do pretty well in the matchup to Syndra.
That's true.
We'd seen Vladimir lose, we'd seen Ryze lose, but Echo seemed okay. But if you don't have the champion ready, then you've got to set the band into it. And yeah, you mentioned sort of what other carry top laners are there, like Jace. I kind of wish we were on 624 because Fiora and Kled actually were big beneficiaries of the fervor of battle buffs in 624, and I think we could have seen them in the top lane if we were on that patch. Sadly, we are not. Final bans coming through, 2 junglers off the table, which means Rek'Sai is clearly looking like the queen of the jungle here.
Yeah, it seems like that's going to be a really safe first pick up here. The Rengar ban. A lot of respect being shown right there to Reignover, having that one off the board. But a lot of different options. I mean, TL, they could go for something a little bit safer if they wanted to draft something like the Karma, of course. Really good pick with Piglet, so you can just keep the AD carry safe. But it's actually going to be the Nautilus, so showing a lot of priority to that in the top lane.
That's actually very
I mean, it could be a flex pick, but more than likely in the top lane.
It's definitely most likely to be in the top lane. It's just very interesting because normally we had, before seeing that Poppy and Maokai were more highly sought after, and of course with all 3 of those sort of trifecta tanks in the top lane available, it's always interesting that they wanted to first pick away Nautilus and say, no, we think this is actually the best. Other teams weren't even considering playing it at all. I just always find it very strange when teams very heavily divert from what they think is good compared to what other teams think is good. And again, this Rek'Sai being up means it has to be some kind of a bait, that there's a counter pick ready, or that Reignover thinks there's a much stronger champion available to him.
Well, we know Reignover. He's got a pretty good champion pool, I think, when he's getting ready to come in. I mean, people call him, you know, the one-trick Rek'Sai for a while there, but we know he's got more in his pocket than that. Ashe is going to be locked in as well for upset and the AD carry position. And Piglet, of course, another one that can play pretty much any AD carry, so I'm sure he'll be very comfortable going into this matchup.
Absolutely. It's almost kind of nice. Generally speaking, I think there was some level of counterpicking available in the bottom lane, and for Liquid, I like this. Yeah, this looks really interesting, especially with Ashe being a bit easier to prey upon. You know, immobile, okay, yes, she can stun you at point-blank range, but Kha'Zix probably gets in there at some point. But I think there is some level of counterpicking available in the bottom lane, and letting Piglet make sure he sees his matchup and say, I can beat Ashe with this champion, and he'd know better than I what the matchups are that he wants to go for. But I think that's actually kind of smart for Liquid to wait a little bit on Piglet's choices.
It's the Olaf. Oh, well.
Okay. Olaf Karma.
So we will have the Olaf locked in there, Karma as well. And honestly, that could very well be a mid lane pick here for Golden Glue. You know, very safe, reliable on the shield to keep yourself alive, but then also as you get into those late game team fights, the big Mantra speed up boost, you know, for the entire team, as well as just, you know, big shield to throw on Piglet, so he can just get into the enemy's face and take him out.
Totally agree with you. I think Karma mid suits Liquid as a team the way I think Liquid will play kind of coming into the season, having not been proven anything else, which is Piglet's going to be the star. He wants the resources. You could run 4 supports of Piglet. You'd probably win a lot of games that way. That would actually be reasonable to do. But we talk about Reignover not wanting to go for the Rek'Sai. Of course, Olaf, one of the champions that he himself popularized. He was really the hipster in that one and bringing it out before anyone else did. And it turned out he was right, that Cinderhulk Olaf is definitely strong.
Yeah, I mean, and another one, honestly, on the table that would still conform to TL's expected play style would be Orianna in the mid lane.
Sure.
Since the champion pool has been, you know, squeezed a little bit here, with that LeBlanc and Cinder taken off the table, could just see something like Orianna in for Golden Glue, and then just swap that Karma straight down in for Matt, and you have plenty of shields to go around.
Totally agree. So Giants actually picking some very strong laners. They are gankable laners, to be fair. Zyra and Ashe actually their only peel is crowd control, and you've already picked Olaf into it. Reignover definitely can hard gank this lane, especially if he can power farm to 6 and really try to knock some people down. Piglet.
Oh, he's going to lock it in.
Ooh, okay.
Piglet says, you know what? I'm back in Korea. I'm back at OGN. Let's go straight for the classic.
Yep. He's got his own skin. I hope Piglet uses it. That's going to be great. I get to watch Vayne mechanics from Piglet. This feels good.
Oh, boy. Well, I just got way more invested into this, into this best of one for sure. But Rise, let's talk about the Rise, did come in. So actually did make it through the draft. So Golden Glue will be rocking that one in the mid lane. So Karma confirmed for that Vayne in the bottom lane. And it's honestly, that's going to be a very necessary pick to keep that Vayne alive and survive through the lane. That Ashe is going to be harassing with the volley with that just constant slow. Because if he gets rooted by Zyra, it's going to be a hell of a lot of pain coming in for him.
Yes, absolutely. And it's going to be up to his mechanics. Of course, playing on land, he's got no ping. Shouldn't be a problem to tumble away from all this. You really got to expect that if Piglet picked into this matchup, and actually he got to see the entire matchup when he picked the champion, he should, I mean, he knows jungler, he knows the entire ball, he even knows what top laner is going to TP into him. So Piglet has all the information he needs going into this matchup. He kind of gets to secure himself, he's going to be fine. And you expect that it's going to be good for him. Golden Glue in the mid lane, of course, with the Rise, and Cassiopeia going to be the counter pick for Knight. And again, sort of looking at teams on paper and assuming what they're going to play like, I like carry-style mid laners here for someone like Knight here. His Cassiopeia should work well in this. I think it's good in the matchup, specifically against Rise, and I think stylistically the champion will fit Giants well.
All right, well, it's going to be some pressure on Reignover to make sure that Golden Glue doesn't get shoved in by this Cassiopeia in the mid lane, but like you said, very gankable bottom lane as he hits that level 6 mark, so we'll see what he can do to get Piglet ahead on his staple AD carry. So this is going to be one hell of a game now.
Yeah, I really like the Giants comp. I think it's very well rounded. There's a lot they can do.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get ready to load up onto the Rift for this best of one TL versus Giants. Winner will advance into the next match, a best of 3 to play against Gyeonggi Monster. And if they can make it past them, they'll be moving on to the Goyang Stadium this weekend. So a lot of pressure on these guys, Team Liquid especially with their first international showing, want to prove themselves. Golden Glue wants to prove themselves, and Piglet especially back in Korea wants to have a nice showing for the fans here in the audience.
On his signature Vayne, no less. It's going to be very exciting for a lot of reasons here. Piglet, sadly, not using his own skin. It's Dragon Slayer Vayne. I'm sad.
Aw, well, that's a little bit disappointing, but let's go ahead and load up onto Summoner's Rift and get this game underway. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Here we are. TL versus Giants. TL coming in on the blue side. Giants on the red. Looks like we're just going to have a standard fan out across the map for the most part. So no shenanigans going on. Thought maybe we'd see something. We got a decent bit of early CC here on the side of TL. What with the Rune Prison and that dredge line from the Nautilus in the top lane. But looks like they're just going to have a little clump in the bottom lane. But otherwise, not going for anything too cheeky.
Piglet maybe trying to bait Ashe to follow, but yeah, as you mentioned, Liquid level 1 is actually insane. We know Nautilus is great. He's got 2 forms of CC, almost regardless of what he picks up at level 1. Matt's got his ultimate at level 1, and yeah, an axe chain from Reignover nearly guarantees a kill, but nothing cheeky done yet for Liquid. Instead, Piglet giving away a bunch of gold to Hustlin.
It's all right, they got a CS for Matt.
Yeah, but that's 5 gold versus 24, like... I know it's not huge, I'm like over-obsessing about little things, but like, I don't know, it's an interesting little mind game, right? Because Liquid wanted to get into that brush so that they could cheese their opponent's level 1 because they know Reignover's going to start topside, and so they said, okay, if we can take brush control, we can maybe hit you at level 1 and get some free damage in, but Hustle and Knight were already waiting, so they just got free damage on Piglet.
So how do you think Reignover is going to approach this one? Do you think he's just going to have to stick in the jungle till 6, or is he going to make some early visitations to some of these lanes?
So I think bot lane's going to be too hard to gank just in the general sense. I feel like by the time he can gank Hustlin should have his root available, and you know he needs to hit level 6. That said, if some of the lanes show up as gankable, if someone misplays the lane, if they overpush, you can always be opportunistic, but I don't think there's any obvious ganks available early on. Again, unless someone misplays and gives him the opening. And Mighty Bear on a similar point. I think Liquid's going to be under their turret in the bot lane, and Golden Glue just... I don't think Rek'Sai Cass is going to make easy Rise kills. So, yeah, I feel like both these junglers are just going to have to play for vision and each other's jungle control for the early game.
All right, so maybe no cheeky early ganks coming out from Mighty Bear then, as he'll hit that level 3 mark pretty soon here.
Yep, and interestingly enough, Mighty Bear actually very cheeky by him. So, again, we're on 623. You can hit level 3 by doing red buff into Krugs. Instead, he went red buff into Raptors on a bot side. And Liquid with no deep wards, I think normally would expect that Mighty Bear's still top side jungle right now, but he's actually way down here. This maybe means he can fight for bottom scuttle. Maybe means he can head off Olaf if he goes for an early gank, though that's sometimes unlikely. And Raynor, you can see he's actually going for a very hard power farm route. He's actually delaying his red buff pickup and doing Krugs first. So, again, really trying to stay in the jungle a very long time and delay the red so that he has it up for when he maybe tries to gank around level 4 or 5.
Well, if they were expecting Mighty Bear to be hovering around the top side still, they spotted him out with that ward in the river brush. So they'll have some eyes on him, know that he's probably heading over towards that Gromp at the moment. And now Rainover finish off those Krugs. Go ahead, move for that red buff, and then maybe look to get a little bit of an early gank, but it might be wishful thinking. The CC in the bottom lane here not going to be that reliable. I guess there's the tether from Matt, but you know, if Zyra lands those roots, then you're just going to get out of range.
Yeah, the crowd control's not amazing. You're pretty much just trying to hope that Rainover lands 2 axes. If he does, the champion's dead even with flash up. But what's really nice, actually, we saw a little clip of it. Liquid's playing the bot lane really well. So normally you just said, okay, Ashe Zyra, they can push in. They have those plants. It's super annoying, and you're right to say all those things about the lane matchup. But what Piglet and Matt are doing is basically Piglet says, okay, I have Silver Bolts ready, shield me, I'm going to auto, tumble, auto, and like just get a quick trade in and run away, and he just blocks all the damage with the Karma Shield. And so anytime Hustlin's Q is down, Piglet knows he can win the trade. And he can kind of go in with mantra, or not mantra, but just general shields and tumbles.
We see Mighty Bear hovering around in the brush here, but what with the lane being showed up under the tower, doesn't want to push forward, so he's just going to go ahead and recall, get a little buy-in. Looks like Tracker's Knife going to be coming out for him as well as a control ward, so just wants to get some more permanent vision established, but this gives Rainover some time to get an invade going on. Takes away the Krugs on the top side of the map.
Let's see what we got for ourselves here with Rainover slinking around. Mighty Bear's not going to be here just yet. Hoping for the 2-on-2 fight. Early goes popped.
Yeah, he gets the pushback though. Doesn't find the stun, but Rainover's just going to trade a little bit of damage and gets that final undertow. So he'll force out a couple more of those corrupting potion charges, but Rainover going to have to peel back. He still has that W, of course, to heal himself up, so might not have to recall quite yet. Well, on the bottom lane, a lot of harass coming out. Piglet going really low. The plant's doing some good work here for the side of Giants. So he's going to have to peel back, play a bit more cautiously.
Yeah.
See, he's consumed that biscuit already, and Upset still has his.
This actually really hurt Liquid. They chose to trade onto the support onto Hustlin, and Piglet got hit by plants and by Upset. So he just took a whole bunch of HP that Hustlin has 3 times the potion. It's much easier for Zyra to regen her health than for Piglet here on this vein. So, you know, I didn't see how it started, but it clearly ended in the favor of Giants.
Yeah. They'll have to be more conscious when it comes to how they want to approach those trades. No summoner spells used in that exchange, however, so both of those supports will still have their exhaust. So they didn't hit panic modes there for TL. They still knew that their limits, as well as Giants, didn't want to overcommit for anything. But definitely does give them the upper hand, and this has helped Upset kind of keep the CS very close, because for a while there, Piglet was starting to inch ahead, but now he's just within a couple CS.
Yeah, it's pretty close, and of course, keep in mind there's a couple of free CS coming in from knocking down Zyra plants as well. I don't know how many he got,
that
but
is true, yeah.
Individual gold-wise, it's within 10, so they're basically landing identically. And Piglet's health is coming back up reasonably well. Pretty much everybody in the bot lane right now is running the Warlord's Bloodlust, so he's got lifesteal from hitting minions, and looks like his life is easy enough. Rainover, though, going for a hard farming sort of build. You can see he's actually got the early jungle refillable potions, so it constantly refills full HP all the time. He's a level over Mighty Bear, though, which means Mighty Bear really can't fight him in the jungle. He can maybe try to smite Stu, but that's it.
We'll see if he wants to go for it. He does. He's going to tunnel over the wall, gets the pop-up on Rainover. Smite comes out. Hustlin's roaming over as well. They might want to go for this one. Actually, it's going to draw the teleport. Matt going in for the tether. Hustlin's going to flash over the wall, but he still gets locked down. Piglet going in, proccing those silver bolts, trying to take out this Zyra. One more hit might do it. There it is. First blood comes through as Matt finds it, but Piglet goes down. And now Knight with a roam down from the mid lane is helping turn this completely on its head in favor of Giants. A 2 for 2 so far.
Oh,
almost makes it a 3, but doesn't find it. They're going to go even in the end. Summoner spells blown across the board. And a TP down for Team Liquid. They go 2 for 2 in the end.
2 for 2, no kill for Piglet, only assists for him. I'm trying to figure out who really got the better of it. Yeah, more total gold went to Liquid, but the first blood actually went to Matt himself. So Gold not exactly optimally placed. Either way, though, really good by Knight. He was able to roam down first and 5 HP away from making that a 3 for 2, which would have easily been Giants' favor. So we watched this, and I mean, you can look how aggressive Hustlin's playing. Really smart by him to use the lane advantage, say Mighty Bear, I'll be here, but a really good, very aggressive turnaround by Liquid, condemn into the wall, proper exhaust, of course, as well. And like Matt's being untouched here because they need to kill off Piglet really fast, and it allows Matt to get another shield off later on in this fight, lands the Q, and then it helps Rainover come down. Dies anyway, but and then you can see right here, flash, and then just not enough damage.
Yep.
Meanwhile,
really close.
top lane.
Meanwhile, yeah, there's a dead Poppy. Flaxius has died, Rainover, turning around and just finding another gank real quick. So goes ahead, puts one on the board, a second one on the board for him, and gets Lorlo an assist since he wasn't involved in any of those kills down in the bottom lane. But we can see the TP back from Poppy. We'll give Lorlo the upper hand when it comes to the teleports in a bit.
Yeah, it's true. In about 3 minutes, Lorlo can go for a big play, and that's going to be a really crucial timing because bot lanes are. Ooh!
Oh, that's going to be the arrow coming out. Piglet getting locked down, popped up in the air, straight into the roots. There's nothing you could do. Beautifully chained CC coming in for Giants, and they find a kill.
That's rough. A player as good as Piglet should not have missed that tumble. So you can see this top lane fight again, and it's what looks like a good trade from Flaxus, right? Gets the shield on, gets plenty of damage, but guess what? He's being perma-slowed, and just, great chain of CC right there.
Yep, Rainover just basically rolled up and kind of stole that one.
Yeah. I don't know if he would have guaranteed got the kill if he wasn't there, to Lorlo's
The work
credit,
was done for him.
The work was definitely done. All the hard part was on Lorlo's side. He did a really good job with it. That's to be fair.
No, all Flaxius just has to be a bit more cautious, I suppose. Never know when Rainover's going to be lurking in the shadows. He pays for that one with his life, but I'm sure he's going to be playing considerably more cautiously moving forward from here. Got a ward down the river, so he might spot him as he comes back this time around. But for now, Gold pretty much dead even across the board. 3 for 3, no towers yet been touched too much. Bottom lane got a little bit of damage put into it, but we do have a pause.
Yeah, so you mentioned the Gold being pretty close in sort of the net value. I think the Gold is better distributed, though, on the red side here on Giants. They've got a kill and 2 assists on that Ashe, so Upset's doing very well. He's personally up about 11 minions right there, whereas pretty much all the gold that's been acquired by Liquid is on their jungler. It's on the Olaf. And, some of that gold is also the assist on a Nautilus. And those are two of the worst people to have gold on. Keep in mind there's a first blood on Matt. Like, those are your 3 worst gold recipients. Gold and Glue and Piglet are easily the 2 best, and those guys have no kills.
Yeah, that's true.
Unlucky there, really not stuff you really want to have, and that's a bit of a problem, to be honest. So, meanwhile, right, a kill on Ashe, a kill on Cassiopeia in a much better spot. Really minor point, but it's a small differentiator that these guys have on the Giant side, and also the fact that Piglet went for a greedy lane matchup to say, look, Vayne is a very strong champion, and when we come into mid-game team fights, he'll do really well. I trust that he can kind of make that play. He can outplay Poppy, he can outplay Ashe, he can outplay Cassiopeia. All those things should be true for him. Even the Rek'Sai, when she tunnels in, you just prime the condemn, and you will never get knocked up with Rek'Sai unless she flashes on you.
Yeah.
So if Piglet can hold on a little bit better, I think by mid-game he'll be fine, but there is definitely a point of pressure here in the bot lane that unless Liquid uses their TP advantage in the next 3 minutes, we'll probably see outer turret go down in favor of Giants in the bot lane.
Yeah, not seeing him, evade that enchanted crystalline arrow is a little bit
that was
questionable. Should have been able to get out of the way of that one.
But for sure.
But Shake Off the Rust probably hasn't played the Vayne in quite some time as far as on a professional stage goes. So might just need to get back into the mindset. But this does put more pressure on Rainover, who so far has been hard farming really well over top of Mighty Bear and also has those 2 kills. Currently, just under 20 CS up. But that puts a lot of pressure on him to keep, running down and having to disrupt that backline, get on top of Upset, make him burn the arrow, and then you just Ragnarok straight through.
Absolutely. So we'll see what they can get for themselves here. It is kind of on Rainover to be the carry force right now. He's the one person like really, really winning in his matchup, and generally speaking, wherever Rainover goes, it should be a good chance for a kill for Liquid, and that's kind of the playstyle they have to adopt right now because none of the rest of their matchups are really winning in any meaningful way.
Yep. Well, Rainover going over the roam. Just going to find a couple plants. Let's clear those out, pick up a little bit of gold. But now, shoving off that bottom lane from the turret, they'll get some damage in.
Oh, wow.
Get that back. And Golden Glue, he's on the roam down as well. Could go ahead and ulti in if necessary, but looks like TL, they might just go ahead and back off as a unit.
Yeah, They had to respect the Chaos roam down in general, and once the Rek'Sai from Mighty Bear finally roamed down, they realized, okay, it's at best a 4v4, let's not do this right now. The thing is, it was a smart choice by Liquid to go for this play. They had TP advantage. If Giants chose to fight, and especially if Rek'Sai wasn't around, you've got a guaranteed 5v3. You win that fight, you get turret, you get a big team fight advantage. And Liquid playing around, that's really good.
Oh, gets the tumble off, but he's still going to get rooted. TP coming through from Lorlo. Still gets popped up by the Stranglethorns, but no one else is really there to damage him. Just the plants doing a little bit of work. Dredgeline connects on the upset. Root comes through, and Lorlo, he's going to pick up another kill for TL. 4-3 on the board, and that gives them a very slight gold lead.
That was catastrophically stupid. I just mentioned how good it is for Liquid to play towards the bot lane, and Giant says, oh, that bot lane tower that didn't work. Let's walk away from the turret real quick. Overextend so that you can kill us for sure. Huge misplay by Giants. They should not have gone for that play with TP disadvantage. That means a turret kill. That means a huge lead now for Liquid off of a very silly play. So, I mean, it's like, yes, let's dive in through a minion wave. I wonder if Nautil's going to show up. Oh, he did? How interesting. I guess we're dead then.
I mean, you also saw, you had just seen Rain over on the bottom side. Knows that he still has Ghost, so he can close that distance.
It was stupid in a lot of ways.
Well, they got comfortable. He said, you know what, last time we hit Piglet with an arrow, we got a kill, so let's just try that again. That seems to have been working.
Yeah, that worked when the Rek'Sai was around, when Mighty Bear was there to land another knockup. And if Rek'Sai could add her damage in, yes, they would have killed Piglet, and maybe it's a bit different there. Or if Flaxfish was close enough in range to stop Lorlo's TP, but clearly was not. And if Flaxfish isn't in sight of Lorlo, you can't go for that play.
Yeah. Well, there's a poor decision there from the side of Giants. They pay for that one. It's going to be the biggest goal lead we've seen so far here, about 1.1 thousand now in favor of TL. Still no kills on the Piglet, but he has those 3 assists and is clawing his way back in as far as CS goes. So he's getting into a better spot, that is for sure. But still has a ways to go before he's going to become that absolute monster on the Vayne. But Rainover still doing some work, showing up in that bottom lane, helping to get that next kill in.
Yeah, and this is really nice. Liquid can now play around their place of power, which suddenly, just because the turret's dead, is actually bot lane now. Once you're at essentially half an item, like at this stage, Piglet can now 1v1 any of the bot lane members of Giants, which means, and also he runs so fast, like, he will chase Upset down the lane and kill him, or he'll chase Hustling down the lane and kill him. And so they have to really play around that. You see Giants immediately swap to the top lane, knowing that's where Vayne and Karma were going, but this is a lane that has both turrets up, so that run-down kill isn't available anymore, so it would have been dangerous if it were bot lane. It's not. It's top lane. I think they can still play the 2-on-2 reasonably well.
Yeah, and I mean, if they can get another shove out of lane, that turret in the top lane is already quite low, so that could just lead to a second turret here for TL. So Giants going to have to collect themselves, come back into the rest of this game, the remainder of this, with a bit of a fresh mentality, because getting killed in that bottom lane there for Upset might have been a bit of a shake-up mentally.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if they can hold on to it. Of course, the summoners are pretty much all available from the Giants' bottom lane. They didn't really burn them in the death, so there's a decent chance. They've actually got a small summoner advantage. Currently, it's 3 summons to 2.
Oh,
and
here they go.
Attempted dive.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for it. So Mighty Bear coming in from the backside to throw at the Mantra. Not going to find anything. Piglet will flash away from the arrow. Gets a nice condemn on Mighty Bear, keeping him away. And now Rainover arriving. Flash charging up the Keeper's Verdict there, but he can't find it because the Ragnarok is up on the Olaf. Rainover going to go ahead and find his 3rd kill of the game. Golden Glue arriving, but takes a good bit of damage here from Knight, who's pinching it from the backside. Now TL corralled in underneath this turret. A little bit susceptible to that poison, but looks like they will be safe. Giants don't want to overcommit and lose even more, so Flack just going to go down. And TL, they just managed to find another kill.
And that felt, again, like a misplay from Giants. They pulled the trigger at the wrong time. They didn't have the wave pushed into the turret yet, so they couldn't actually join with the duo lane. And it's just up to Liquid to kind of press this forward. However, I think, honestly, there's no siege to be had. Knight roaming for the top lane means they're going to be safe, and I don't think Lorlo can really make this happen, so I think it's going to be a forced disengage. However, the top lane turret siege, if they really want, I guess it can continue. We're going to kind of keep trading back and forth with Liquid, once again, going to be having TP advantage in about 30 seconds, and we might see another sort of lopsided TP play because Liquid just keeps getting the better side of it.
Yeah, looks like they're going to go ahead. They're going to peel back. Don't want to stick around for too much longer. No wave available to them at the time, so Lorlo couldn't really get in there. So they'll just go ahead, peel back, be content with taking down the Poppy, and just keep inching these advantages ahead little by little.
See what they can do, yeah. 1,400 gold lead, definitely solid for Liquid right here, and basically, yeah, their plan right now is let's play around Lorlo's teleport. They know very obviously that Flaxus is down, that they can make that split push thing happen, and as soon as Lorlo can match him in bot lane, and he's going there right now, they can, again, look for this interesting flank play, and especially if Rainover can track Mighty Bear at all, they can even make it a 5v3, and that makes it just super simple to get those kills.
They've got good vision down this bottom side of the river, so they might be able to
they know
spot
right now
him out shortly.
The blue buff transfer was enough to know, so they know right now that Rek'Sai's bot side. However, Mighty Bear's ult's up very, very soon, so it might not mean too much. Because, of course, you can just rotate around as Rek'Sai and just jump to a tunnel.
Yeah. Doesn't have too many of those.
Yeah,
all around the bottom
close.
side of the map. Just have a couple, looks like just one in the top side of the jungle there.
Yeah, it would take like 10 seconds to get to any team fight, so by that point Ash would get one shot by just Vayne landing 3 auto attacks. But theoretically, you know, if it takes too long, yes, Mighty Bear will show up.
Didn't quite get you there on the gold, but I think Piglet has pulled ahead very slightly.
I believe it. He got to share some first turret gold. It's going to really jettison him upwards.
I think he's got it by about 100, so still very close with upset. He's been doing a pretty good job despite the questionable engage in the bottom lane. Otherwise, he's been doing really well, keeping a very steady lead ahead of Piglet.
It's interesting that Piglet hasn't recalled in a while. He's been on these items, I think, for several minutes right now. I didn't see if his current gold was that high, but I think he could get at least a Zeal and cash in a little bit on the previous fight. But maybe he went and bought Zerk Greaves.
I think that was his last purchase, was the boots.
Then he recalled more recently than I remembered seeing, and it's actually not too bad. You don't usually want to float too many thousands of gold once you have an advantage, because otherwise your gold lead means nothing because you didn't buy anything with it.
Yeah, you're not applying it.
Right.
So he should be getting closer and closer to his next item here.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to be Phantom Dancer or Static Shiv. Those are the two main ones. I guess Rapid Fire Cannon sometimes, but I think it's the worst of the 3 options. Phantom Dancer, of course, great for dueling, but I don't know who he's. I guess maybe the Cassiopeia can do a lot of damage to him, so he might want the Phantom Dancer damage reduction for that champion. But Shiv gives him a lot more split push power and really fast wave clear. You pretty much one-shot cast minions with an Infinity Edge in a Static Shiv, so it really kills minion waves super, super quick, and it lets Piglet get back to team fights more quickly.
All right, well, now we can see the siege coming right back in. Mighty Bear, the only one here to answer at the moment. Hustlin, an upset running up the lane, but that's going to be the turret going down, so they can't arrive in time to stop it. Two turrets on the board now for Team Liquid, and they just keep moving forward with the Spanish. There we go. That's the tumble we were looking for in the bottom lane. Piglet going to dodge out from that Chin line arrow. Matt going to get popped up, though. Heal comes through from Piglet, trying to keep his support alive. Upset flashes forward, is able to find the kill. Now Piglet in a bad spot as Knight arrives, gets a petrifying gaze, hits him from the back, but it's enough to slow him up and finalize the kill. So he goes down, 2 picked up, make that 3 as Rainover falls. Mighty Bear finding that killing blow. And it's just a 3-for-1 in favor of Giants. Excellent trade.
And that's what you're expecting out of Knight in the mid lane. 20 CS advantage, gets to the top lane first as well, and makes it a +2 team fight. Absolutely great by him to turn it around. Really, really beautiful stuff, even with the dodge and the Ash arrow. This is all Knight all the time right there. He's just slightly faster. And this fight is, it's not a bad idea for Liquid overall, just the problem is the fact that Nautilus can never show because he gets canceled away by Poppy. Good play by Flaxus there. And the fact that, look, Knight is just there to turn it around. There was not enough damage out of Golden Glue. Raynor gets run down.
Yeah, I mean, Golden Glue just not really arriving in time to turn the tide of that fight. Knight popping the Ghost just so he could get there even faster. Golden Glue not using the ultimate to warp his way in.
And again, an unsung MVP is Flaxus canceling the Lorlo teleport. I'm pretty sure that was him doing it manually, not Lorlo just hitting D again for no reason. Because the idea was Liquid was going to try to take a 5v4 or 5v3 and turn that around, but Mighty Bear was around and Flaxus stopped Lorlo. And Knight showed up first. Like all those things, like all those guys made really good choices in being there in time.
Yep. So that was an excellent play by Giants. I mean, the gold lead now 1.1 thousand, so something that they can easily come back from, and Flaxus has the teleport advantage for quite some time.
Yeah.
After that cancel coming in from Lorlo. Still haven't seen the Dragon taken yet. 19 minutes. The Ocean Drake not the most enticing of the dragons that could be there, but
now that we're about 20 minutes in, it's a lot less valuable. If you can get like a 12-minute Ocean Drake, it's pretty insane for your laning phase. Okay, that doesn't matter anymore. We're outside the laning phase at this point now, so who cares? But yeah, basically the winning team was never putting the resources bot lane, right? Like turret's always more worthwhile than a Drake, so you never take that until you take first turret. And then of course the winning team is second lane top side because duh. And well, let's get
they're actually going to fight over this one. The Dragon goes down. Rainover is able to find that. Piglet getting jumped on by Flaxus. They're going to try to cut this one back. Keeper's Road comes up, does pop up Piglet briefly, but look at this. He's still just getting these True Silver Bolt procs off. And Piglet is just starting to rip through this tanky front line of Giants. They have to cut back. Big nice engage, catches Rainover, and he's going to go down, gets melted out. Hustlin finds the killing blow, and now the rest of TL have to run for the hills. Golden Glue, the only healthy member alongside Lorlo, is at about half HP. They can't find an answering kill, and they lose one just for an Ocean Drake.
Liquid blessed to only lose one right there. The sort of disengaged counter-engage from Knight and Husson was amazing. Petrifying Gaze on top of Stranglethorns was absolutely massive. They were stunned, then knocked up, or have to run away regardless, and that was a huge turnaround because Flaction's teleport did basically nothing other than absorb auto attacks from Piglet and then flash away, barely not dying. But the turnaround was absolutely great. Finally, a turret picked up for Giants. Huge stuff there. So you get to watch this. Yeah, so the TP doesn't really mean much. I want to watch the front line, watch Lorlo kind of absorbing hits because Flaxus knocks away Golden Glue. That's a good play. And then just Cassiopeia Zyra says, okay, we're all getting stunned. Let's kite back. And then as they go for the chase in, there's Stranglethorns on everybody, the stun and a rain over, and there's just no chance for Piglet to really get back in there. Piglet and Matt tried to walk in, then just had to immediately flash away, kind of not realizing how bad that fight already was for them. They could have disengaged a bit sooner and saved the summoners, but either way, the double mage turnaround was absolutely great.
Yeah, really good stuff. That's going to give Giants the advantage, albeit a very paltry one at the moment. 500 gold in their favor, but a kill advantage and the mid lane turret open. Yeah. So that opens up the map immensely for them.
I mean, it's absolutely huge, and I would still consider that an Ocean Drake's worth more than 500-600 gold in the general sense. I think it's still nice to have even 20 minutes in. Sometimes it just matters. Especially when you have high mana pool champions like this Ryze and this Cassiopeia. That's a lot of mana regen that you're going to have on like almost all the time, and you can on these champs. It's actually pretty relevant in some of these cases. Either way, though, great comeback by Giants. Got the right back into this one. I thought they were going to completely lose out mid-game power, but that's not the case here anymore. And, you know, Husson's in a good spot. He's got double Magic Pen. He's going to have the Leandries pretty soon. The power spikes are kind of here. And, you know, now I've got to think about, okay, what's the next play for these teams? What's next on the board? And really the only turret available is mid lane. But it's so hard to siege against Zyra, Ashe, and Cassiopeia.
Yeah, you can see that instantly. Just 4 plants popping up. TL not really even going to bother with this one. Just want to try to get some vision down. But this is where it starts becoming a little bit questionable because, you know, where are we going to allocate ourselves? Lorlo's still on the bottom lane, Piglet in mid. But with this Ashe and so many people hovering around, if that arrow lands, he's probably going to die. So they have to be really careful sticking around.
We're also seeing that Knight's sort of choice of play pattern is the split push on the top side. Cassio does have double movement summoners, so it's not the worst thing in the world compared to, I'm thinking of like, you know, a Syndra when there's an Echo roaming around the map where you're just going to die if they find you. Cassio has some kiting tools, but you still have the chance of Lola getting a good deep teleport. Rainover has enough mobility around the map that he can get one of those wards down to make that TP happen. And Knight has to be very intelligent about how he split pushes this. Golden Glue in a similar boat where he's a little bit unsafe as well, especially without having Ghost himself, but at least he has Cleanse. But either way, like seeing how much the mages want to split push is going to be very interesting. Knight will be a bit more aggressive. He's the one pushing first almost always. And sometimes that can be a really big advantage if at one point you choose not to match Knight's split, he gets a turret kill. And if you match him, you gank him, he dies. So you have a very sort of delicate game with the mage side lane push.
Yeah, I mean, in general, we haven't really seen Golden Glue match Knight in general. You know, Knight arriving in the top lane, making the difference in that fight, getting several kills for Giants. Piglet just going to get booted out of there by that Keeper's Verdict. Can't get too much damage into the Poppy.
In the case of Piglet, like, not relying on his reflexes or using reflexes properly to get away, he tumbled really early, and then as soon as he turned on stealth, Flex was like, okay, well, you can't tumble anymore, and you're against a turret, so this is a free ulti hit right there. I don't know if Piglet really could have gotten the kill anyway, but it's just a little weird to just so easily tank that ulti and not try to dodge it.
Well, let's see if he's able to turn that on its head the next time that they face off the 1v1 Vayne Poppy matchup.
And I know I'm being like hypercritical of Piglet, but Piglet should be the best player in this game. Like he is got the best pedigree, and he's got arguably the most skill of any player on the server, and he's got the worst scoreline. And like that shouldn't happen with a player of his caliber. That's why I'm being so harsh on him. Is like I feel like he should be better than this.
Sure, I think it's a decently fair judgment. Hold him to a higher standard, but yeah, so far it hasn't been
good dodge.
Oh,
all right.
Almost Matt almost walked into that one, but all right, good reaction there on the tumble.
That's like 2 or 3 dodges in a row now from Piglet getting away from arrows. So I'm glad he's only really had that one misplay about that. It's much better now in the game.
Got the arrows down pat. Now it's all about the Keeper's Verdict.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get those out of the way.
That's next for him.
And then we're good to go.
He tanks one and dodges the rest. He just needs to feel it out first.
Well, as you can see, the question has been answered. The Infinity Edge with the static shift is the build of choice for him. We'll see where he wants to go next, whether or not he wants to go for something like a Phantom Dance or really stack on that Attack speed, maybe the
Right.
Blade of the Rune King, which is like a classic staple pick for him.
The two that I would choose are Scimitar, Phantom Dancer and Scimitar. So it looks like he's going Phantom Dancer. I would not Rapid Fire Cannon. I would definitely not Hurricane. So this looks like Phantom Dancer for him. But there's easily a world where you go Quicksilver Sash because of Ashe Era, because of Zyra Root. There's so many good Quicksilver Sash targets that like it's
Poppy Stun, Petrifying
right.
Gaze.
It's a pretty good choice. Now. Okay, looks like it's going to be Redemption, and for Matt, I was wondering if he's going to go for an early Mikhail's Crucible. I know Redemption's super good, but if Piglet's not going to go for QSS himself, you might need that item to get him safe. Not the case here. Matt's going to go Redemption.
All right, well, we have a bit of a standoff here. It looks like they're just going to go ahead and peel back. Not going to have too much attention over this vision in the river. Giants pretty much holding the upper hand at the moment. We can see Lorlo coming in with a recall. Both of these top laners do have their teleports available, so if the fight breaks out, it'll be a full-on 5v5 in mid. Matt gets rooted. That's going to be Mighty Bear coming over the wall. Flash away. Arrow goes wide.
Yeah, Arrow's a
going to
bit
be
late
safe,
as
but
well.
he's low.
I feel like as soon as the root hit confirmed from Zyra, you toss the Enchanted Crystal right away. I mean, unlucky. You know, maybe it was slightly on cooldown for a couple more seconds. He'd used it pretty recently against Piglet. I don't quite know, but, you know, oh well. Still got a flash away from Matt. Not a bad thing by any means. What I do find interesting is the fact that Mighty Bear went second item, like immediately after Jungle Enchant, he went for an early Titanic Hydra. Now, generally speaking, I'd say it's greedy because they have plenty of damage with Cassio, Magic Pen, Zyra, and with Ashe, who's doing quite well for herself. But it does mean that Mighty Bear gets to be the split push if he wants to be. It means they don't have to send Knight to the side. They can let Mighty Bear do that. His wave clear is going to be amazingly good with Titanic Hydra, and with, you know, really high CS numbers, 157. That's not a bad, really, play style for that champion. Also means he can easily solo Drakes like this. So it allows Mighty Bear to make a lot more solo plays, but it makes him a much worse team fighter.
Yeah. So it looks like it's just going to be Ocean Drake going over to Giants for free as Mighty Bear solos this out. So 1-for-1 in that regard. We'll see what we're going to end up with next. And it's just going to be a third Ocean Drake.
Okay.
So we just get 3 in a row.
Well, everyone's going to have infinite sustain. That means Lorlo and Flaxish, I think, I'll use literally here, literally can't kill each other in lane. If you disengage for 4 seconds, your health bar goes back to full. So it would require significant brain deadness to die in this matchup. They're going to continue to be nothing to each other for a while.
I think it's a pretty fair statement to say that it'll be an endless fight.
Yeah.
How exciting. I know everybody on in Twitch chat and on Reddit really loves the wet noodle fight in the tank in the top lane, so they should be really, really hyped about this.
Yeah, I've noticed that the spectators have almost never shown us top lane at all, which I think is intelligent because there's really nothing going on there.
Yeah.
You can just look at the minimap in the bottom right corner for the minion waves, and look at the CS numbers in the bottom of the scoreboard. That's pretty much the only things that are happening here.
I remember the I think it was Scion versus Malphite fight with Impact versus Quas at Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah.
Last year.
But Scion blasted that fight.
It just went on for like 3 minutes straight, and the camera never went off of that top lane fight because there's nothing else happening, and the audience is like cheering every time there's like a small amount of chip damage that comes through.
Yeah, as the Malphite health bar slowly depletes, and it's like, would you like to spend gems to speed up this health bar? Like,
yeah, that's the fun of tank meta.
Yep.
We had all of that in Spring Split. Oh, cool! This Poppy Maokai every game. Nice.
Yep.
I love it.
This game has clearly settled down quite a bit. A lot of that is because the next turrets to kill are very hard to kill. Liquid are going to have pretty much no chance to knock down mid-outer, and Giants don't want to give that up. Like, they don't want to send the resources bot lane and trade mid for bot. That's a bad trade for Giants. And so Liquid, they can't trade because Giants won't let them, and so all they can do is fight for dragons. And Giants, now that they have a little bit of control...
Thank God we didn't stay on it.
Okay. I was like, whoa, what am I missing? What am I missing? Oh, nothing. Okay.
It's the wet noodle. That's what you're missing.
All right, we're good. Yeah, they can both shield each other, too. It's obnoxious. Yeah, so, I mean, it's nice that Mighty Bear is empowered to play solo because it's such a slower game that the more I think about it, the better this build is because it lets Mighty Bear be a bit more of an X factor and actually create his own opening.
Uh-oh. Look at this. I mean, the Scuttle Crab is right there for TL. The Giants are just going to go for this TP straight into the pit here from Flaxus. Lorlo coming around the back. The Baron goes low. Rainover not able to get in there. That's going to be a smite away. Mighty Bear takes it. And now TL, they're just going to have to disengage. Flash forward, gets a double knock-up onto Rainover and Lorlo. So has no Ragnarok so far.
Liquid can't re-engage this.
Giants.
They just die as a counter-engage.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead back off Rainover. He's popping the ghost. He wants to go in. Throw out the miasma. He'll get slowed up. First Verdict charging up, but Not going to find anybody. Neither is the Ash Arrow.
I don't know why Rainover ghosted there. Okay, well, Mighty
Grab onto Mighty Bear. He gets popped. Actually,
wow.
Golden Glue just coming away with the kill. Upset, stunned into the wall, but the petrifying gaze is there. And Piglet gets absolutely decimated. Rainover having to pop the Ragnarok to sprint out of here. Just going to be throwing undertones from the backside. Actually, no, Upset. Flashing forward, going full-on aggression with the Ash. Gets the kill onto Rainover. A 2-for-1 so far. Stunned into the wall from the Poppy. Matt looking like he might go down. Lorlo following suit. Golden Glue, can he clean up on the backside? Members of Giants are pretty low other than the Poppy, but he needs to find a way in, and this Cassiopeia is just not allowing it. That's a 4-for-1 for Giants plus the Baron, and they're going to be knocking down some turrets, if not the inhibitor in the mid lane.
Knight is a freaking superhero. He got them the kill on Piglet. Piglet could not dodge away from the petrifying gaze. This is what you get for not buying Quicksilver Sash or Mikhail's Crucible. Set up that kill, and then the flash forward from Upset was just so good. So Mighty Bear's greedy build gets punished here. Right, he's gonna walk in. Titanic Hydra second means he's squishy. They get all the burst damage all at once. Nicely done. Okay, congratulations. Then that stun on Upset is great, but Piglet wants to get the auto attack, and by doing that, lines up with a stun. He's in turret range as well, so invisibility means nothing. And at this point, this is a pretty easy fight to chase in. Upset with Hurricane just does 1,000,000 damage. He can lifesteal tank the Nautilus. There's no chance there. And Knight nearly did get picked off by Golden Glue's Rise, but kited it out well enough to not get killed. And yeah, Golden Glue just was not a big enough factor there.
Yeah. And just, over-aggressive play from TL. They got that pick on a Mighty Bear. It was a good dredge line, but then they want to overcommit and then start fighting a Baron-empowered team underneath their turret against a Cassiopeia that still has Petrifying Gaze. They had all their cooldowns. They had popped none of them to secure that Baron.
Yep. And it's another one where it's Piglet's fault. It's Piglet's fault for face-taking a Cassio ult. He's better. I mean, you should just get a Quicksilver Sash. Just like be double if you buy QSS third item on Vayne every single game. It's just the safer play. And he didn't need Phantom Dance to win that fight, but QSS, they would have probably gotten the turret in another kill or two.
Well, rough stuff from TL, and they started to kind of dig themselves into a hole here. Just under 4,000 gold down, 2 turrets up in favor of Giants. Even in Dragons, but that's only the slightest of reprieves here.
They can keep getting a lot more. And this is actually a state where Ocean Drake actually really helps you because Baron doesn't give you regen anymore, hasn't for several years, but you want to do these long stage sieges. If you have to recall, you lose 30 seconds of Baron buff, you lose 1/7 of the buff. So the longer you stay out, the more turrets you kill. Bot lane tier 2 is going to be free, and any damage they take is going to be regen back up. So none of this poke's going to matter for Liquid at all.
Yep. You see Giants just forcing their way in, taking out that tier 2. Don't even suffer much damage. Upset took a little bit, but they just couldn't clear out the wave fast enough. They don't have that much reliable wave clear to get through Baron-empowered minions.
Yeah, 13,000 gold on the 2 major carries. Knight and Upset both about 2,000 gold up, or okay, 1,300 up over their opposite member. That's still a very big deal. Upset actually even now going in for some armor penetration. The Last Whisper's in the build. The Vamps have to make sure he's safe. I mean, he is going to cut through the frontliners now. It's not going to be difficult for him.
It's really interesting. Piglet opted to go in for the Hex Drinker instead of the QSS.
That's stupid. That's honestly stupid. Like, he really, really, really should go Quicksilver Sash. He died because he got stunned, not because he didn't have the magic shield. I don't know. This is silly.
We'll have to get it soon if they want to have any opportunity to get back into this game. TL definitely going to be playing from the back foot now. Still pushing up into this mid, but they can't stick around.
Nope. Yeah, right now Liquid are definitely on the back foot. They have to play defense. And the thing is, the reason I like Giants comp a bit more from champs, like the Giants have ways of engaging fights. Liquid have to really, really force hard. They have to force through a Cassio and a Siren. It's rough. They have to walk at them. So there's the hook on a Flash, but it's a tank.
Forcing over an Ocean Drake. Not sure if that's the smartest idea. Rainover popping the Ragnarok. Mighty Bears goes low, but he gets that massive shield coming through. Golden Blue and Lorlo chunked down to half. Lorlo just getting shredded by Knight, who is pushing forward fearlessly on this Cassiopeia. The Petrifying Gaze doesn't find anybody. They're going to go ahead and pop that GA in. And now TL is just absolutely getting shredded. Piglet just trying to do what he can from the back line, but he just can't get in there to deal damage to the damaging members of Giants. Knight and Upset still healthy as hell, and now they're going to TP down to the bottom lane and knock down this inhibitor. Piglet's all by himself for the next 40 seconds.
This really could be game. Beautiful play by Giants. Piglet had kited the fight as well as he could, but the fact that Knight and the rest of the team could just jump back in on the rest of Liquid and just take sort of a 4v3. Yeah, I mean,
they find it. There it is. The flash forward. Piglet goes down, and that's going to be game. Giants.
Beautiful.
In 35 minutes, taking down Team Liquid, who had the upper hand for a while in the mid game. Giants with a massive comeback. They come out.
Very well played game by Giants. They turned around in the mid game. Some really smart plays by them by the mid to late game. Knight was amazing. Upset honestly looked very, very good in his first game on the team as well. Impressed with the new Giants lineup. Very impressed by them, and they're now going to face Gyeonggi Monster. And honestly, this team looks better than I was expecting them to be. I thought Liquid would come in as favorites. Giants playing better than expected. A tough test next for them, certainly, but good sign so far for Giants.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, like, Knight definitely was the shining gem on this team on that Cassiopeia, but Upset as well with hustling in that bottom lane.
Yeah.
They had a really good duo. The arrows, a couple misses there, Piglet tumbling out of the way, but overall, Upset fearlessly flashing into the face of his enemies and securing those kills, never really overcommitting. That's really impressive for a champion like Ashe.
Yeah, generally speaking, I would agree. There was the one big mishap of them going for the 2-on-2 with the other top laner having teleport available and just getting turned around on, immediately. Other than that, yeah, I agree. There were some very good decisions. I thought the Giants comp was so good. They had ways of going in very hard. You have TP flanks, you have Rek'Sai flanks, and you have Ashe Arrow, and you have such amazing counter-engage and disengage with Zyra and Cassiopeia. They can fight the team fights any way they wanted to, and they did such a good job of doing it. Giants played the comp very well. That, more than anything else, is why they did so well in this game.
Yeah, really good stuff there from Giants. They're going to move on to our winners match against Gyeonggi Monster. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have that best of 3.